Easy Riders, I'm Gary from Real Tours and this is 5 On, the series on our YouTube channel in which we give you 5 minutes of trivia about a specific film. This episode is about Gladiator from the year 2000. Spoiler alert, this video will contain plot spoilers. Stopwatch at the ready, roll film, and here we go. Joaquin Phoenix ad-libbed his scream of "Am I not merciful?" Connie Nielsen wasn't expecting it, and her frightened reaction was genuine. 5 tigers were brought in for the scene in the arena where Maximus fights Tigris the Gaul. A veterinarian armed with a tranquilizer dart was present for the entire time. For safety's sake, Russell Crowe was kept at least 15 feet away from the tigers. Maximus's description of his home, specifically how the kitchen is arranged and smells in the morning and at night, was ad-libbed. It's actually a description of Russell Crowe's own home in Australia. Oliver Reed, who plays the role of Proximo, died 3 weeks before principal photography ended. Since he was considered a key character, a clause in the movie's insurance coverage would have allowed the filmmakers to reshoot all of Reed's scenes with another actor, and the insurers would have to pay with it, which was an estimated $25 million. However, most of the actors and crew were exhausted from the punishing schedule, and Ridley Scott did not want to cut Reed from the finished film. The script was rewritten, and a body double and CGI were used to give Reed's character a plausible resolution. Hans Zimmer's score is one of the best-selling movie soundtracks of all time. Connie Nielsen found the 2,000-year-old signet ring she wears in the movie in an antique store. Ridley Scott resisted any suggestion that Maximus and Lucilla, played by Connie Nielsen, should have a sexual relationship because it would decrease his need to be with his murdered wife and son. Russell Crowe was also against it, feeling that it wasn't in the character's interests. The wounds on Russell Crowe's face after the opening battle scene are real, caused when his horse startled and backed him into tree branches. The stitches in his cheek are clearly visible when he is telling Commodus he intends to return home. Mel Gibson was offered the lead role. He turned it down. At 43, he felt that he was too old to play the role of Maximus. Russell Crowe became good friends with Sir Richard Harris during filming, a friendship that unfortunately only lasted a few years until Harris's death in 2002. Oliver Reed, on the other hand, took an instant dislike to Crowe, despite Reed being good friends with Harris. At one point, Reed even challenged Russell Crowe to a fight. The opening battle scene was filmed in Bourne Woods, Surrey, England. The Royal Forestry Commission had originally slated the area for deforestation, so Ridley Scott eagerly offered them his facilities to burn the woods to the ground. The Commission happily accepted. From the outset, Ridley Scott made it quite clear that this sword and sandals movie would not feature any of the genre's cliches of people lounging around eating grapes and drinking from goblets. He intended to create a more realistic vision of ancient Rome. Over the course of the gladiatorial scenes, Russell Crowe lost all feeling in his right forefinger for 2 years after a sword fight, aggravated an Achilles tendon injury, broke a foot bone, cracked a hip bone, and popped a few bicep tendons out of their sockets. Although Commodus was initially favoured by the Roman people, he lost that status through dramatic acts of megalomania and is often considered as the initiator of the fall of Rome. During his reign, he incorporated his name into many common terms, such as the terms for money and the people. Eventually, the citizens and the Senate had enough, and he was poisoned. When he vomited out the poison, he was strangled afterward. The Senate returned to the language what had been spoken before Commodus and took down the many statues of himself that he had already put up. It's actually a common misconception that a Roman emperor would put his thumb upwards to signify that a gladiator was to be spared, whereas a thumb down meant that there would be no mercy for a downed gladiator. In reality, this gesturing was the other way around. A thumb up symbolised the action and thus death, whereas the thumb down, a sheathed sword and mercy. The crew was aware of this whilst making the movie, but since thumbs up is considered to be a good sign nowadays, they decided not to unnecessarily confuse the audience. Joaquin Phoenix was always Ridley Scott's #1 choice to play the role of Commodus. Maximus's tattoo, which spelled SPQR, stands for Senatus Populus Romanus, which translates to the Senate and the Roman people. This was one of the main slogans of Rome throughout its history, as well as today. The Germania battle sequence took 20 days to complete. For the crowd scenes in the Colosseum, in addition to the real-life extras and digital ones, 400 cardboard cutouts of spectators were also used. Oliver Reed's main motivation for taking the part of Proximo was because he fancied a free trip to London to see a couple of shows at the West End. According to Ridley Scott, scenes where Maximus picks up a piece of dirt and smells it before a battle signifies mortality and the possibility that he could die there and return to the soil and earth he occupies at that particular moment. During the opening battle sequence, the barbarian chanting is the same as the warrior chanting in Zulu from 1964. And time is up. I certainly hope that you've learned something new there, and if you haven't seen Gladiator in a long time, then be sure to go back and give it a revisit. What film would you like us to cover next? Let us know in the comments below. We release videos weekly, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also click the bell to receive notifications on all future videos. Keep it real.